So it is time to welcome our keynote speaker, Gareth Hillier. He's from Faith in the Family Network at Care for the Family. He's a church leader and passionate equipping churches and parents to build and inspire faith at home. So we're really honoured and excited to have Gaz with us. So let's give him a big welcome from Join Door.
So much, thank you. I didn't realise my mum was in because I was a little cheater, so thanks mum for coming all the way from Newport, South Wales, so I could see you. We could have car shared those, so that would be good. I don't know about you, when Victoria said, because we're ahead of schedule, you'll either have extra gas or extra coffee break. I'm sure I wasn't the only one who was hoping for extra coffee break, but it's good. So thank you for being here today. And it is so good to be here this morning. It is honestly a pleasure and a privilege to just spend 15-20 minutes to encourage us at the start of our day today. I'll be honest with you, you've sacrificed your Saturday morning to be here, but I've also sacrificed something today. I've come all the way up from South Wales. I came yesterday, and today is football day. So I hope you appreciate the sacrifice that I've made to be here today. I'm a passionate Welshman. It was St. David's Day yesterday, so all I did was eat leeks and Welsh cakes all day. It was beautiful. But I am a passionate Welshman, but I love my football. And what Victoria didn't mention there is, yes, I am a church leader. Yes, I work for Care for the Family. I have 2 young children, and we'll chat about them in a moment. But one of my biggest passions, especially the last 8 months, has actually become football. And you might be like, oh my goodness, why is he starting to talk about football? I just want you to realise the sacrifice I'm making today. I really do, because maybe some of you will make sure I get an extra piece of cake there. But the last 8 months, I've actually become the voice of Newport County Football Club, which is, you laugh, I'm definitely the voice, not the face. But the last couple of months, I am now the stadium announcer at Newport County Football Club, which is something I love. You may never have heard of Newport County. We are in League 2, but we are playing today. We are playing top of the league, Mansfield. And I'm not there. But hey, I'm here with you, so I know which I choose. But I joke, if you saw the FA Cup a couple of weeks ago, Newport played Manchester United on the Sunday afternoon, and my voice was all over. My wife was texting me while Gary Lineker and Alan Shearer was in the studio, and she was texting me and was like, are you singing over the microphone? I am not a singer, and I just replied and said, yes I am, I got a bit excited. And then when we scored, if you knew the football game, we were losing 2-0, 10 minutes down, and me and the guys up in the box was like, this is going to be rubbish. And then suddenly we got it to 2-2, and I wouldn't lie, I stood on my chair, and as I announced that second goal, I got a little bit excited, to the point that the TV production director told me to calm down, because it was affecting their commentary. But hey, that's the sacrifice I'm making today. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk to you this morning about a really little word, but an important word in my mind, and that's called why, and we'll get onto that in a moment. We often talk about the small things often make the biggest difference. I don't know about you. I love having a big vision. I love having a big aim of where I'm going towards. What I don't always like is the small steps which I have to take to get there. But this morning I want to encourage us about the small things often making the biggest difference in our lives and in the lives of those around us. So before we do that, I want to take a moment to really start off with, I think, something which is really important, but it is a small thing. It's to say thank you. I don't know hardly anyone in this room today. I don't know your journey, I don't know what you do. I don't know whether right now you feel as if you are in the sweet spot of whether you feel like you hate what you do. Maybe no one ever takes a moment to say thank you. And I want to take a moment to say thank you for all you do. Thank you for the countless hours that you sow into the children, young people and families' lives that you do. They really do make a big difference. Do you know why I know that the small things that we do make a big difference? It's because I would not be here without people like you. I would not be here without a youth leader called Jamie Dallimore, who talked to the obnoxious kid who didn't want to listen. That was me, by the way, in case you didn't know. But he kept turning up, he kept loving me, he kept giving me lifts to McDonald's after youth. The small things make the biggest difference. So I want to say thank you for what you do. Thank you for being here today. Sometimes we aim for the big things in life. Like I said, I love big vision, but it's often about the small steps. Don't dismiss the small steps in your life. Take a moment to celebrate them. See, as a people, we are usually programmed to think big. I love thinking big. Myself and my wife are part of a team who are church planting right now. We've got big vision and big ideas. But do you know what? They don't happen overnight. If I expected the big things, then actually I'd be so disappointed, because right now I'm not seeing the bigness, I'm seeing the small. But you know what? So much can happen in the small things. See, we so often look how we are going to achieve things, often wondering why in the process we get tired, we get weary, and often when we just focus on how we do things, we often end up doing it on our own. See, what about in our own life? Are we kind to ourselves? Do we celebrate the small steps in our life? Maybe the small step for you today was actually being here this morning. Have you celebrated that? Have you said, actually, this is good to be here today? Well, if you haven't, I want you to take a moment to do that. And on that, I want to say, when I was younger, there used to be this TV show called Blankety Blank. I'm sure many of you knew it. But I want you in your own head, don't worry, I'm not going to get anyone up here to fill in the blanks. But I want to take a moment to fill in the blanks in your own head right now. Today, I feel blank. Today, I want to. Today, I'm thankful for. See, in the busyness and sometimes vastness of life, we forget the small things that affect us. The last year and a half in our life, mine and my family's life, has been some of the hardest days of our life. Health problems, disappointments, people walking away, grief, all at the same time as supposedly stepped into this amazing thing that God is leading us into church planting, and He is. But if I just focus on the bigness and don't take the moments to understand the small things, then I will get tired, I'll get burnt out, and I'll get very frustrated. There's been moments in the last year and a half where I've sat in leaders' meetings when I'm supposed to be leading the team, and I could fill in that blank and go, today I feel rubbish. Today I want to quit. But supposedly leading everyone into this big vision, but still dealing with the reality of life. But what I've also learned is that there are some moments in our life that I can't take away my feelings. I can't take away the desire sometimes just to give up. But there's always something to be thankful for. In the last year and a half, do you know what some of the things I've been thankful for? I've been thankful for my kids being able to go off to school so I can get back into bed. That's something to be thankful for. But I want to encourage us today, wherever you are right now, maybe right now you want to give up doing what you do, so you feel a bit of a hypocrite sitting in this room going, we're being envisioned and we're talking about children's and family and youth ministry, but right now I don't feel like I can do it. Well, what I want to encourage us, not sometimes just to look at the goal or the bigness of where we're going, but understand it's the small steps which are really important. So if this morning you fill in that blank and today I feel not very good, or today I feel not good enough to do what I do, or today I feel good, wherever you find yourself, I hope you can be encouraged today. First of all, I feel that God understands where we're at. He doesn't always expect us to pretend like we've got it all together. And I think sometimes He's happy with us just saying, today I want to quit. Today I don't feel good enough. But there's always something to be thankful for. This is my son, this is my 4-year-old. I've got 2 children, Macy who is 8, Hudson who is 4. And I'll explain why I've got a picture up of Hudson and not Macy before any of you report back to my daughter that I haven't shown you a picture. This is Hudson. Hudson is He is wild. He is wild. Our little girl was 4 before he was born, and me and my wife thought we were doing very good at parenting. I thought, do you know what? I don't know what you're all talking about. I'm going to write a book on this. This is easy. Because Macy was an obedient child. Macy slept through the night from when she was 4 weeks old. Macy just nailed potty training. Macy is the happiest child you'll ever meet. Hudson, however, is a blessing. I keep reminding myself of that. I love him so much. He reminds me of me, and I think that's why I get frustrated. But Hudson's favourite word is why. Macy would just do everything we would do. We would go to the shops, we would say it's bedtime, even at 5 o'clock at night. Sometimes me and my wife would be like, we're tired, let's put Macy to bed. Macy would be like, okay, Dad. And she'd go off to bed. Hudson, even if it's 10 o'clock at night, he's still like, why am I going to bed? I'm like, you go to bed because it's dark and I'm going to bed. But Hudson's favourite word is why. This kid questions everything. And there's maybe children or young people in your life, maybe it's you, who you question everything, and sometimes we don't like those people. But I've been really challenged by Hudson, that actually, asking why is not always a bad thing. I realise I focus so much on the how normally. This is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to do it. Rather than taking a moment to ask, why am I doing it? But this boy I've learned in the last few years, when you sit down and explain why we're doing something, he's completely on board. So this wild child has actually taught me so much. The middle picture is actually a time where he locked me and my wife in the kitchen and wouldn't let us out in the garden. And he had a hose pipe and a water pistol and wouldn't let us out. And we needed to get out there because his sister was in the corner of the garden and he was wetting, and we were trying to be the parents and to bring control and discipline. But he locked us in the house and kept us in there because every time we opened the door, he just put the water pipe and the hose pipe in the kitchen. That's our 4-year-old. See, it's made me realise how little time I spend discovering the why behind the things I do. See, I'm a get on with it kind of guy. If you said to me, I am honestly a dream for leaders. A leader could say, this is what we're going to do, and this, I'll just step up and go, how we're going to do it. Let's get on with it. You tell me something and I will do it. Maybe that's you. But what I'm not very good at is taking the time to really explore and discover, why am I doing something? For so long I focus on, this is how we're going to do it, rather than, this is why. See, the small word why makes a big difference. Why forces us, or encourages us, that's a nicer word than force, isn't it? Why encourages us to pause and to think, to pray and spend time and ask, why am I doing what I do? So, 2 questions for us this morning. And maybe this is a question you know the answer to straight away. Maybe this is something you think about all the time. Why do you do what you do? And what is the why behind your ministry you are involved in? Maybe sometimes we don't really know. We just do what we do because we're told to. Well, that's great for a time. But I can probably guarantee if we don't really know why we're doing something, we won't do it for the long run. See, have you ever taken a moment to really think about these questions? Or do we more think about these questions? How do I do what I do? How am I involved in our church? A very little change, but when we focus on the how, that's more focused on how we're doing something, but the why is really, really important. See, not knowing the why we do something often leads to frustration. Going back to my wild child Hudson, when I just say, Hudson, this is what we're doing, and there's sometimes if he's going to run across a road, I'm not going to go, Hudson, one moment, I need to explain to you why you shouldn't run across the road. No, I'm just going to pull him back and go, Hudson, don't do that. But in most parts of our life, there's an opportunity for me as the dad to explain why we're doing something. Sometimes there's things we're just doing But when he understands the why, do you know what? It doesn't lead to frustration. And I think that's the same in our life. See, I love this scripture in Hebrews 12 verse 2. It says, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. We could also read John 3:16, and I'm sure many of us know it. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son. Do you know that each and every one of us sitting here is Jesus' why? Why he went to the cross for me and for you. He loves us so, so much. So how much does he love the people we work with as well? And then for me, I think one of my whys is really important, like I said, to understand our why. I love this verse in Psalm 145. I'm not going to read it all, but it's up on the screen. One generation will tell of your good works. The why I do what I do comes back to this psalm. Do you know why? I want to play my part in being the generation which tells the good news, but I also want to hear the good news off the generations. This motivates and directs all I do. Do you know why? It understands that there's someone always looking to me to share the good news, and it also encourages me that I'm not alone because there's other people who have gone before me. This is also why I'm living a life of faith and giving my life to this. This is why me and my wife church plant. This is why we're passionate about children's and family ministry. Because somebody before me was that generation who told the good news to me. And then it allowed me to build on the trajectory of that good news. That youth leader, Jamie Gallimore, I think of often. He gave so much to me. He told me the good news. He loved me even when I didn't love myself. So that's now created a why in me. That I want to be that for other people. He always pointed me to the good news of the gospel. See, why? And I've broken down that word why, 3 letters, into who, how, and you. Identifying our why and allowing that to be the foundation of all we do makes significant impact, not only in our own life, but in others too. See, the who. Once we identify the why, we can better serve the who. Who in your life does not need your how we do it, but this is why we do it. The volunteers in our teams, it's so much better to motivate and to collect people around to share why rather than the how. Because how can lead to disappointment. How does not always work out. You could say to me, and I'm doing a workshop later, and it's about family ministry, and I disappoint people all the time because they say, Gaz, how do you do it? And I say, the reality is, how I do it in my church is different to yours, but let's start talking about the why first. The how is really, really important. But if we don't first set the why and who we are working with, then we can't look at the how. See, the why brings us always back to the who we are serving. Why is always about people and purpose. I'm going to mention the dreaded C words right now. COVID, by the way, just in case any of you didn't know what I was going to mention. But my little girl was 4 at the time, or 4.5, and she was in school, and we started homeschooling. I know, I'm breaking into a cold sweat just thinking about homeschooling. I hated it. And bearing in mind she was 4.5 in reception, so the standard of schooling was not quite GCSE maths. But I was under pressure. 2 weeks. I just felt like we were drowning as a family. And I remember Mrs. Furtick, her teacher, sending a letter home going, hey Dad, can we catch up? And I thought, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. I went back to 15-year-old Gaz in Carscott Comprehensive School being brought in front of the head teacher. The reality is she was asking every parent to catch up. But this is what she said to me. She said, hey Dad, how's homeschooling going? And I thought I could lie. I could just say, we're doing amazing, we are amazing teachers and parents. But I just thought, she knows I'm a Christian, I better not lie. And this is what I said. Do you know what, Miss? I'm not doing a very good job. I hate it. I don't know how you teachers do it. I feel like I'm failing my child. We were only 2 weeks in. She was 4.5. And I felt like I was failing my child. Can I say that many of the families we work with actually feel like they're failing and draining too. And this is what Miss Berting said to me. She said, hey Dad, let me know, what do you do on that one walk a day you're allowed to do? Remember we were allowed to at the house one time a day? It seems mad, doesn't it? And I said, well actually I'm teaching Mason to ride her bike. And this is what she said, Dad. I think she thought homeschooling was only going to last a couple of weeks. That's why she said this. She said, Dad, if the only thing Macy learns in homeschooling is how to ride a bike, Dad, you've done an amazing job. I started crying on the phone. Do you know why I started crying on the phone? Miss Bertek wasn't focused on the how. Miss Bertek was focused on the why. She really challenged me. Because do you know what I needed to hear in that moment was, Dad, you're doing a good job. Because I did not think I was doing a good job. I thought I was failing my little girl. I thought I was drowning. I thought I was just so overwhelmed. But I needed to hear that. So how can we be that in other people? And then very quickly, we're nearly over time now, but the how. The why sets the direction of our how. If we start with the how before the why, we will lead to disappointment and frustration. We look at how we do things determined by our core why. The why sustains our how. The why also brings other people on the journey because it's easier to collect and to gather around the shared why rather than this is how we do it. The why unites us and sets us in a direction. And then finally, you. There's often a ministry or a corporate or a church why. This is why we do what we do. This is why we do schools work. This is why we do kids club. This is why we do girls brigade. But we also need to understand you make a difference. We all have a part to play. We often don't see the value in what we bring. You bring much value. Your why is really, really important. Again, Hebrews 12 reminded us we are Jesus' why. So today I want to encourage us, you have a voice and you have a purpose. But sometimes just take a moment to pause and not rush for the how, but actually take a moment to go why. And then finally, there's a great book, and a guy called Simon Sinek wrote it for organisations mainly. And it was about start with the why. And I'll just pick up this one quote because of time. Very few people or companies can clearly articulate why they do what they do. By why I mean your purpose, cause or belief. Why does your company exist? Why do you get out of bed every morning? And why should anyone care? I know he's talking about companies and organisations, but I think that's true for our own life. Very few people actually understand why we do what we do. We are just part of the machine and we just follow. But I believe when we start discovering our why and start taking a moment to go, God, what is my why? Why do I do what I do? I feel we'll see greater impact. So, Simon Sinek, check him out. But can I encourage us, before I hand back over to Megan, to really take a moment, I know there's coffee break before workshops today, to really take a moment to reflect on, why am I here today? Why do I do what I do? Because when you start approaching the amazing workshops we've got today with that perspective, you start opening your eyes up to going, oh, this is going to make a difference today. Rather than just focusing on how we do it, let's come back to the why. Thank you.